right. Welcome to AU, Brandon. Excited to have you here on the show. Tell us a little bit about you for those that don't know you and what brings you to AU this year.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me, first of all, Todd. My name is Brandon Ionata. I'm the Senior Director for the StrucSoft line of products at Graitec. This is, I think, my 10th AU. So I've been doing this a little
long
while.
timer too.
yeah, exactly.
Nice. So coming into this, that's brand at the Design and Make conference this year. What gets you excited about the direction that Autodesk is going and stuff that's already happened in day one so far?
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been doing this for so long, and it's been an uphill battle, kind of promoting that offsite construction and that whole design make kind of thing, and it's really cool to see Autodesk, going in that direction, and really the direction the industry's going, because more and more we're seeing customers and clients that are either making the change or that are new customers coming on that are startups and they want to build offsite. So it's cool. The design make thing is really taking hold.
Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the big trends recently has been, not super recently, but picking up steam, I should say, is the convergence of construction and manufacturing.
Yeah.
It's where you guys really play right at the heart of that with StrucSoft. What's the big trend as of late that people should be aware of with that?
Great question. I mean, coming from the software side of things, that is always, I think, most important when we're looking at that entire ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies, we see them kind of jump 2 feet first, and they go and buy some machinery without realizing kind of how they're going to power that machinery and how they're going to send that data to the machinery to be able to build what they're designing. So that kind of link is super important. But what we're seeing now, what the real trend is kind of that data connectivity, cloud data connectivity, and the sharing of that data across all aspects of the business is beginning to be more and more important for a lot of companies. Before, it was very siloed, and now companies are kind of, they want full integration, ERP, obviously accounting, manufacturing is one, but I mean it's really growing, and the ecosystem within those companies are growing as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you see, traditionally silos have been a
bugbear.
A huge feature of the construction industry.
Yeah.
Do you see those walls kind of coming down in construction across the board, or in certain segments more easily?
I'd say across the board. It's really interesting because, 10, 15 years ago, we were talking to customers. Everybody thought they were doing something like super top secret when they're, building offsite, and, everybody had their secret sauce, we call it.
Yeah.
But now more and more, customers are opening up the factories and sharing some of the knowledge, sharing some of the information, not all of it, but which is understandable. Everybody wants a competitive edge, but we're seeing that kind of movement towards something bigger, right? So it's really interesting. So the silos are definitely coming down, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think offsite's an interesting topic too, because there's a lot of different thoughts and misconceptions around when you get into offsite and industrialized construction and prefab. And are they the same? Are they not the same? What do you see as the biggest misconception that people get wrong about this space?
I think every time I mention offsite, everybody thinks immediately to modular construction, right? Mm-hmm. It's the most recognizable, absolutely. But we have to think about offsite manufacturing, offsite construction, rather, as more than just giant modulars being, or modular volumetric buildings being, put together like Lego blocks. It's not the case, right? Offsite construction can be something like cable trays and things like that. These things are being built offsite. They're being brought in and installed in a very efficient manner. So that's one way. Obviously, in our industry, which is mostly framing, panelization is one of those things that we're seeing. So customers bringing in just wall panels, standing them up on site. It's again, it's a huge time saver. So it isn't always modular. It often is, but it isn't always modular. And I think that's the biggest misconception. I speak to anybody and they think, oh yeah, modular building. No, there's a lot of, separate nuances and separate types of offsite manufacturing.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's an interesting dynamic too, because people, it's getting its time in the sun now more than what it ever has. And so it has this feeling that it's almost like this new concept when really it's been around for
Oh, decades.
forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know exactly how long it's been around, but I know, if you look at the root of it, you're talking 50 years probably at least that it's been,
Yeah.
part of the market. You look at, um, you know, offsite built man camps for
Mhm.
mining corporations and oil and gas, that sort of thing. That's been around forever,
Right.
right? Now it's taking more of a kind of commonplace part of the industry in you know single family residential,
Mhm.
multifamily residential. Seeing a lot of hospitality, hotel buildings going up in a modular or offsite fashion. So that's becoming more interesting. I mean, if we want a perfect example, we look at the Nordics, where 80% of the residential market is
Mhm.
built offsite.
Mhm.
So it's not new.
Yeah. Why do you think it's getting its time in the sun right now in a way that it hasn't
Oh,
in the last couple decades?
I mean, there's a million reasons to that. Obviously, the big one that everybody talks about is the skilled labor shortage
Mhm.
is huge. Of course, sustainability is massive. When you're building offsite, you're saving on materials, you're saving on transport, you're saving on labor costs, of course.
Mhm.
Um, and that competitive edge again, I think is a big one. Everybody's looking for their competitive edge. So if you can do something better, why not?
Yeah. So I'm going to throw out a couple buzzwords here with coordination and collaboration.
Yeah.
How does StrucSoft come alongside of people to really help the project move forward on both those fronts, and what's the nuance on those buzzwords from
Sure.
StrucSoft's?
From a coordination standpoint, I mean, really, it's super important. If we go back a decade or so ago, the subcontractors were not being brought into this BIM,
Mhm.
ecosystem whatsoever. So there was no, it was, again, very siloed. There was no real, true established coordination. So now we're seeing wall and ceiling contractors being brought into these BIM projects early on
Mhm.
to do their work in the project and essentially find a lot of the errors that, we've all been talking about for the last 10 years through BIM coordination. But really, they're finding these errors before they get out to site and making, work a lot easier. As far as was coordination and
Collaboration.
collaboration, yeah.
Yeah. The two C's.
There's two C's. I mean, again, they're kind of one and the same for me, right? When
Mhm.
you're collaborating with multiple trades on a project, that's one real hot topic nowadays. But to go back to the coordination standpoint, it's not just coordination between trades, but also coordination of the life cycle of the project, from the initial design all the way out to final erection. And that's something that we focus a lot on at StrucSoft is, how are we sequencing these wall panels, for instance, to be manufactured and at what
Mhm.
stage? And oftentimes the wall panel sequencing is actually happening before, any type of framing is done in a model. When we're just looking at an architectural model, we're already planning out how things are going to happen in the factory and be delivered on site. So that's a big coordination part of it.
Yeah. How do you bring that into reality of really being well thought out, several steps ahead,
Yeah.
and not just kind of running by the seat of your pants?
I mean, software's a big one. If I look back at what customers have been doing traditionally, I mean, it's Excel spreadsheets and all types of misery, right? But nowadays, we see a lot more collaborative and connected tools to allow us to do this. And with the industry moving towards cloud data sharing and that
Mhm.
sort of thing, we're really seeing that take hold. And so, from a StrucSoft standpoint, we have a multitude of cloud tools that allow us to do exactly that. Sequence the construction or the pre-construction before it's even designed, and then from there, take it all the way out to pallet stacks and packs. Putting them on a truck or a virtual truck, and then creating that bill of materials or that those loads essentially before anything is actually built.
Yeah, nice. Look into your crystal ball for me.
Mm.
Looking out 5 years, what's the state of industrialized construction?
I think it is going to be even more commonplace. I don't think it'll be the standard in 5 years, but I think in 10 years,
Mm.
I think we're going to see this take hold as the standard. It's really going to be the only way, I believe, to build within a decade. Um, just with the way things are going with the labor shortage, the way we are more conscious about the materials we use, and how we deliver these construction builds. I think it's really going to take hold.
Mm-hmm. What is the kind of the biggest uh, block in the way right now to keeping us from reaching that vision?
I don't think there's a block per se. I don't think there's much of a technology gap,
Okay.
right? I think it's just about putting the work in at these companies with our clients, within our own business, to be able to hit those kind of targets and get the work done, right? It's a massive shift in the way that we build, but it's a necessary one. So I think it's just about putting the time in.
Yeah. So you brought up sustainability earlier. What's StrucSoft doing in the sustainability state to help really make construction a more kind of eco-friendly, sustainable?
Absolutely. I mean, so a big part of what we're working on now is really grabbing the information from the machinery that we're sending the CNC output to, and gathering information such as run times, material waste, and that sort of thing, to be able to really kind of refine that whole process and be the most efficient possible, right? So it's about giving that data to our customers and allowing them to make the tweaks and changes to their manufacturing process to be able to be more sustainable and cut down on that material waste or labor waste.
Nice. So as a fellow Graitecher, you should appreciate this question. What does modeling the future look like to you?
Great question. I think it's a big answer. I really do. To me, it's a collaborative cloud environment. I don't think that any one platform is going to really dominate the future of design. I think the way that Autodesk is moving and a lot of other software developers are moving is to be able to take multiple data sources and connect them together. Right. I think that's going to be one of the big things that we see in the next few years.
Nice. So we focus a lot on construction innovation here. What does innovation, what does that really mean to you?
Innovation, I think it's really doing things better, coming up with newer, better ideas to solve old problems. Yeah.
What's the next step in innovation for offsite?
Wow, these are great questions. The next step of innovation offsite. I mean, I don't want to say AI because it's such a buzzword nowadays, but it may be that. I think that there's potentially a play to use machine learning to basically find that ultimate efficiency when it comes to manufacturing. I'm sure it's something that's already being done in certain industries, so it's just a question of how do we apply it to this.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. That brought that up at the keynote this morning too, on all the manufacturing AI that's happening, and how do we pull that over into the AEC space.
Absolutely.
I think it's coming for sure.
No doubt.
How do people find out more information on StrucSoft and get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So you can find us on Graitec.com or StrucSoftSolutions.com. Of course, ASTI.com, we're there as well. And you can get in touch with me via email or LinkedIn, at Brandon Ionata.
Awesome. Well, final question for you, Brandon.
Sure.
If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing, what would you pick to innovate?
Oh, wow. Snap my fingers and innovate one thing.
Yeah, careful, with great power comes great responsibility here.
I'm seeing things go sideways quick, let me tell you. Honestly, I think one of the bigger, the harder issues to solve is speed. I think that we're moving a lot faster nowadays than our hardware even lets us. So if I could work on any one thing, would be improving the ability for us to leverage all of this data. Model sizes are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We need to be able to use that better.
Yeah, I like it. It's a practical way to end. Awesome. Thanks for joining, Brandon.
No worries. Thanks again.
Awesome.